Young man to jam out to their new iPod Nano.
Booyah!
Only men drink Coke. In Washington, D.C., July 20th, 1803, President Thomas Jefferson wrote and sent out a letter requesting Captain Meriwether Lewis to lead an expedition to explore the Western Territory that was bought through the Louisiana Purchase. President Jefferson intended for the expedition to find rivers that could enhance commerce throughout the United States. Meriwether Lewis was a well-educated young man who knew various things such as using wild herbs for medicine, and he had some experience with dealing with Native American tribes. Lewis would accept Jefferson's request, but he had one more thing to do before he planned out his expedition.
Lewis had invited his friend William Clark to co-command the expedition with him. Clark was different in some ways from Lewis. Lewis was abstractive and fluid, while Clark was practical and calm. Clark was only a second lieutenant in the army, but Lewis had shared command with Clark and even called him captain as well. Under their leadership, the Corps of Discovery, as the expedition was called, would have many successes. On May 14, 1804, the Corps of Discovery departed from Washington, D.C., going separate ways until they met up in St. Charles, Missouri.
After joining parties, the Corps of Discovery traveled westward, passing through Missouri, Nebraska, and Iowa. The expedition suffered only one loss, which happened to be a man named Sergeant Charles Floyd, who died of appendicitis. The Corps of Discovery went through some very peaceful Sioux tribes, which were called the Yankton Sioux. The expedition read out papers stating that the President of the United States wanted the expedition to pass through the territory in peace and that they were friends. They also gave medals to the tribes. Although the Yankton Sioux were peaceful, other tribes were not. Further upstream, the Corps of Discovery had almost engaged in a battle with the Teton Sioux tribe after the tribes denied the medals. The fight would have stopped the whole expedition altogether if not for the Black Buffalo, an Indian who urged the Teton Sioux to stop.
In the winter of 1804, the Corps of Discovery had stopped in Mandan Territory to build a fort called Fort Mandan and settle in for the winter. They hunted and traded with the natives to sustain themselves. Before settling in, the expedition had discovered a large amount of botanical and animal evidence and samples. Lewis had collected many of these samples, which would be later brought back to Washington, D.C.
On November 4th, 1804, the expedition was greeted by Toussaint Charbonneau, who would act as an interpreter for the Corps of Discovery. Even more important than Charbonneau was his pregnant Shoshone wife, Sacagawea, who would aid the expedition greatly in their journey.
Sacagawea helped the expedition find edible plants, and she would act as a guide and translator for them as well.
Then in February of 1805, Sacagawea gave birth to her son, Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau, who would also explore the rest later and when he grew up.
The expedition went further on their journey until they encountered a major problem that could decide the fate of the whole expedition. The Corps of Discovery encountered a big fork in the river, and President Jefferson's advice was to stick to the Missouri River. However, the expedition could not tell which was which, so Lewis sends search parties to one side of the river, and Lewis goes down the other side of the river himself.
Meriwether Columbus had traveled down the river until he saw what he was looking for. On June 13, 1805, Lewis had found the Great Fall from the Missouri River, which confirmed that the river he took was the correct one to follow. However, he saw other falls 18 miles long and many dangerous. Lewis reunited with the Corps of Discovery and he told them about falls and the dangers ahead. They had to cross the Rocky Mountains quickly, but before they could do that, they needed horses which they could only take from Shoshone tribes, which was Socrates' tribe.
Upon finding the Shoshone tribe, Sacagawea proved to be a very valuable member to the Corps of Discovery. The chief, whose name was Chief Shamayawe, was Sacagawea's brother. The reunion had assured the expedition's chance of receiving horses from the Shoshone, which they did.
After crossing the Rocky Mountains, the Corps of Discovery had went down to the Bitterroot Mountains without food for 11 days. On the last day, they were at brink of starvation before they had been received by the Nez Perce Indians who gave them food.
Discovery had traveled for a very long time, yet they only had one more difficulty before reaching the Pacific Ocean. They had to go through the Columbia River and through the Grand Rapids.
Then at last, on December 3rd, 1805, the Corps of Discovery had spotted the Pacific Ocean. Clark had written in his journal, "Ocean in view, oh the joy." Since it was wintertime, the expedition built Fort Clatsop on the south side of the Columbia River. Their 2-year journey was almost finished.
Sideways or something. Like, now you see how big these